and was asked for his reaction. We live in a country that is unparalleled in terms of its freedom, its democracy, its openness, and its tolerance. And there is no legitimate reason of any kind in this country for someone to become a violent jihadist or a terrorist or to join any kind of group, and it is totally unacceptable to this government. Harper repeated that the government will provide multi-year funding to help the RCMP and Canada Border Services Agency counter terrorism. The funding was promised as part of the government's new anti-terror legislation that will soon become law. The federal NDP says if it wins the October election, it will restore door-to-door mail delivery. The proposal was outlined this morning by Quebec MP, NDP MP, Alexandre Boulris. A number of Montreal area mayors currently launched a legal challenge to the phasing out of home delivery over 5 years. Canada Post says it can no longer afford to provide the service because fewer people send mail after email and texting have taken off. Last year, Canada Post recorded a multi-million-dollar profit based on increased parcel deliveries and higher stamp prices. The Supreme Court of Canada has ruled against an Ontario native man who argued his court case should have included Aboriginal jurors. Clifford Kopapanes felt he deserved a jury of his peers. But the Supreme Court says there is no legal requirement that those hearing this case must also be Aboriginal. It found it was enough that the prosecution sought impartial representation on the jury. The decision reinstates Kopanes' manslaughter conviction. In what appears to be a significant victory, ISIS militants say they're now in control of the Syrian city of Palmyra. Here's the CBC's Jeff Settle.
The latest claim from ISIS directly on Twitter is that it is now in complete control of Palmyra, including that city's military airport, its prison, and Syria's main intelligence headquarters. And the Syrian regime admits that it has now pulled out its government troops and most of the civilians living there. Palmyra's population would normally number around 70,000, but that number had exploded recently thanks to an influx of people fleeing the fighting in other areas. And Palmyra lies on a strategically important road connecting Syria's east with its west. And with this victory, ISIS now reportedly controls more than half of Syrian territory.
That's Jeff Semple in London. Palmyra is among the oldest cities in the world and is a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says the gap between the rich and poor in most developed countries has reached its highest level in 30 years. Andrew Walker reports.
The OECD's report says as much as 40% of the population at the lower end of the scale has seen little benefit from economic growth in many countries. It says that praise the social fabric and trust in institutions is weakened. It also says that increased inequality tends to undermine long-term economic growth. The OECD calls for more investment in education.
Oh, it's Consequence of Sound, Kevin McMahon. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going good, excited to be here, excited to talk about the new album.
Yeah. We are going to be talking about a highly anticipated new album. It's Solemn Invictus by Faith No More. It's their first album in 18 years, and they are back. And we're going to talk about what we think.
That will force small companies to cut back on job training and work hours for their staff. Amber Rudy says minimum wage earners will be better served financially by increasing their personal tax exemption. In Toronto, the new head coach of the Maple Leafs is warning the journey to success will be a long one. But Mike Babcock is promising fans that it will also be a lot of fun. Babcock coached the Detroit Red Wings for 10 seasons, winning the Stanley Cup there in 2008. The 52-year-old reportedly signed an 8-year, $50 million deal with the struggling Leafs. That's the CBC News to this hour. I'm Dwight Smith.